This is a presentation to highlight practical ways to develop leadership for lifelong learning in an educational organization, completed by Brittany Kirkland and Elizabeth Neill.
Our presentation will look at 4 specific approaches for developing leadership for lifelong learning in an educational setting. The first approach is accountability, second, mentoring, the third, individualization, and then finally, developing research skills to be data-driven. The first approach that we will look at is accountability. So what exactly is accountability? Steve Raymond, who is the dean at the business school at Wake Forest University, defined accountability as being responsible to some other person or organization for the activities and actions that we take. When we're talking about accountability as being an approach to lifelong learning, there are 2 types of accountability. The first type is a task-driven type of accountability. This is when you ask the question, is the leaders in various units of their respective organization accomplishing the goals and achieving the results that they determine to be important? This task-driven accountability uses goals and metrics to monitor and measure the success or failure. The second type of accountability is personal behavior. This asks the question, do the leaders possess integrity in all they do, inside and outside of the organization? This type of accountability is personal, and oftentimes failed personal behavior of leaders can be far more likely to cause a crisis in an organization. This is according to the book Impact, Great Leadership Changes Everything. In his book, Tim Irwin pointed out 6 principles to actually making accountability work in an organization. These principles include, first of all, getting commitments from others to challenge you on a regular basis, preparing yourself in advance for those spontaneous and unexpected challenges to your integrity, creating a personal board of directors, giving veto power over contemplated actions to a respected and knowledgeable colleague, being clear about what you believe about success to your colleagues, and finally, take the risk to 5 followers' feedback on their personal behavior.
According to a 2011 research article written by Carol Levitt, the term mentor originated in Greek mythology when Ulysses responded to the cry of battle in the Trojan War and left his son's care, education, and protection in the dedicated hands of a trusted friend, mentor. Since that time, the word mentor generally applies to teachers, advocates, guides, sponsors, counselors, role models, and champions. Developing educational leaders isn't a complete process when the diploma is given, the degree confirmed, and the certification exams are passed. Lifelong learning continues throughout an educational leader's career, well beyond the first job. Mentoring is a strong way to bridge the gap between knowledge and experience for a new school leader. Mentoring can be structured or unstructured. A structured framework like the one created in Kansas called the Kansas Educational Leadership Institute, or KELI, a 5-year plan now in its 3rd year of placement, is a model of successful mentoring worth researching. Participants from the Kansas Educational Leadership Institute claimed the mentoring program benefited them in network building, decision making, and goal setting, and increased the confidence and coaching skills, which is an added benefit of the mentor and the one being mentored. One mentor in the KELI program stated, quote, "It allows them, the mentees, the opportunity to bounce ideas off an experienced support person who has the inclination to help them learn as the issues come at them at breakneck speed. This should build their capacity to fly on their own." End quote.
A third approach to developing leadership for lifelong learning is individualization. This is based on the notion that a leader develops a unique relationship with each subordinate or group member that they are working with. It looks at the relationship between a leader and an individual follower, and it's a dyadic view that focuses on the concept of exchange, or in other words, what each person can give and receive from each other. During our research, we found that there are 3 theories that support individualized leadership. The first, vertical dyad linkage model, is when leaders' behaviors and traits have different effects across followers. This creates in-groups and out-groups. The second is the leader-member exchange theory, which is when leadership is individualized for each subordinate, and each dyad involves a unique exchange independent of the other dyads in the organization. The third, partnership building theory, is when leaders can reach out to create a positive exchange with every subordinate. Doing so will increase performance.
Beyond mentoring, a second approach to developing leadership for lifelong learning in an educational organization is by enhancing research skills so leaders are data-driven. The May 2011 edition of the International Journal of Education Policy and Leadership researched 72 university education leadership programs to determine how closely aligned the programs were to the daily needs and requirements of practicing educational leaders. The research revealed, quote, considerable variation in research course requirements, end quote. Principals who were researched say they don't use research to aid in their constant decision making because of a lack of knowledge regarding how to get the data, lack of knowledge on how to interpret the data, lack of trust from the data, lack of time to sort through the data, and because of a need for immediate answers. Interestingly, the same research says district leaders and superintendents highly ranked the importance of school leaders using research skills. Claiming that university programs aren't providing school leaders with the necessary research skills to make data-driven decisions is a large statement and a task not easily corrected. The November 2013 Academy of Educational Leadership Journal highlighted one school district for training their school leaders prior to placing them in a school. The Jackson Public School District created the Instructional Leadership Institute. Essentially, the goal of the institute was to assure the principals had the skills needed to drive their schools to be higher performing, increase recruitment, and retain qualified school leaders. Results from the Institute showed 100% of the participants agreed that they recognized the importance of analyzing and interpreting data in decision making. And most importantly, 80% of the participants agreed that the Institute gave them the skills to use data in their decision making. This framework could essentially be used to bridge the gap between the lack of university research skills being taught and those necessary for educational leaders to be data-driven.